Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. We are Millennial and Mom. If you know anything about Millennial and Mom, whenever we do Married at First Sight, it's always us two together. For the past few weeks, I've been sick. I'm sure my voice doesn't sound how it used to, but it sounds way better than what it did.
It does. You know, it's allergy, throat, and combination, but that's neither here nor there. So whenever you need to just, it's
yes,
okay.
And I got some water as well. But you know what? We're not even going to waste any more time because Married at First Sight always wastes our time. So we're going to hop right into this episode of Married at First Sight. Mm-hmm. It's a blip, season 14, episode 14. When Mom said it was episode 14, I'm like, no, it's not. It's episode 16. But no, it's still episode 14.
Because they skipped a week. Remember doing like reviews or backpedaling on stuff we didn't need to see anymore.
We never do. But you know what? Some people are interested in it. So
That's
we're
true.
going to let them have that. But we start off with Steve and Noi because they are packing up for what I always believe is my favorite episode, the cabin scene when they always get all the couples together. But as they're packing for Steve and Noi, they're still having the same conversation about the IG thing. And we already know that she don't care. Noi does not care, not one bit. She don't care what Pastor Cal has to say. She don't care what Steve has to say. Because when Steve brought it up, he was like, oh, you know, you should be careful about what you post. Because they were talking about how Sushi had to go to the vet or whatever. And she was like, whatever, underneath her breath. I'm like, dang.
Well,
she don't care about nothing.
She don't. And that conversation comes up over and over and over. Just like, even though I'm jumping ahead, so does Mark and Lindsay's, and so does Michael and Jasmina's. More Michael now than Jasmina, to be honest. But I just really think that Steve needs to try to either
stop talking about it,
let it go, or your decision day should be a no. Honestly, because she doesn't seem like she wants to give it up. She doesn't care what anyone says, and you know, for someone who don't even really want to live with you after decision day. Really, if they say she says yes, I mean that's just a big thing. But outside of all that, okay, they're going to a couples retreat, all the couples in Vermont, and I think that's.
Well, I already said it.
No, but I'm just saying.
You know it's all the
I
couples.
know, but here's the thing, though. Normally they go to a cabin somewhere. This time they're going out of the state to Vermont.
But isn't it still a cabin? I thought it was a cabin.
Okay,
it was in the woods.
Well, they're calling it a couples retreat. Same thing.
It's the same thing.
So. The funny thing is, not funny, interesting, Michael, their conversation before they get to the retreat, because you see everybody driving, Michael's having this conversation about, you know, so where do you see this going? And honestly, I'm tired of him asking the same questions too.
You're tired of everybody asking.
I am, you know, because it seems like...
You know what? I had to play devil's advocate with this.
Okay.
Is it the couples wanting to bring up the same conversation, or is it production wanting to bring up the same conversation?
Well, I'm going to say, with the other couples... Well, with Michael and Jasmina's production to get them communicating, because they're the ones that seem like they have the lack of communication, to be honest. So, you know, with Michael still trying to resolve within himself how to get Jasmine to open up, because he feels like he's opening. He's giving her options from 1 to 10. You know, 1 is like, do you think we'll make it? To 10, we're going to make it.
Wouldn't you be annoyed by that conversation?
I really would. Every time, I mean, I get it, but isn't there other things they can talk about? I would be annoyed by the conversation, but I applaud his effort because it took a long time for him to come out and be more open with her, you know, but that's just me. You already touched on Steve and the social media thing. It's whatever. Okay, so now let's just jump to the couples arriving to the house. The first couple that arrived at the house is Mark and Lindsay. And of course, everyone always wants the best room, right?
Yeah, nobody wants to sleep on a bunk bed. I thought that was real trifling of the Married at First Sight people to have some bunk beds in there. Like, for what purpose? You know, these are couples who are supposed to be married. Well, they aren't married. And they should be at least have a bed. Maybe one room to the side could be bunk bed, but that's real trifling. They make enough money.
I don't think that was trifling. I think that was low key. Like maybe that should have been Mark and Lindsay's room. They're the ones that get into it all the time. So maybe it's like, you know, they don't want to sleep in the same bed because you know how Lindsay gets. Anything sets her off. So it's like, you know, down here, you know, whatever. Whoever's sleeping on a bunk bed. So that's probably why they did that. So devil's advocate, as you would say. So now all the couples have arrived, and it turns out that the guys are going to make dinner. And it was Steve who starts out with the dinner making.
You know what I thought was funny about that? Elijahuan was not about to do anything.
You know, in my notes I said, you know, he talked about how everybody cooks stuff like that. He sits down, he's chilling. So it really is Steve and Mark.
But he don't want Michael's cooking because Jasmina got the food poisoning or something from the shrimp. I'm like, Elijahuan, what do you do? He didn't even drive there.
No, who?
Elijahuan. He didn't drive there.
Oh, I didn't notice who drove between those two, but
that should have been the first thing you noticed.
Welcome back.
You know I don't like him anyways.
But it was funny that Michael and Elijahuan was sitting out watching Steve and Mark cook, so there you go. But Steve said he cooks anyways every day, and I was like, that's good. Steve seemed like he had a whole meal planned. And while they were cooking and socializing, again, the conversation of the social media comes up with Steve, because Steve needs additional clarification from everyone, from the men who are in his shoes, you know, that's in this process. Like, how do they think, or what do they think he should do about it, or how he feels about the scenario with Noy's response. And you know what? Michael gives the best advice to Steve. I think he wants Steve to realize that maybe Noy is doing it out of fear. Maybe she's scared or whatever. But
no, she's not doing it out of fear. You know what I feel like she's doing it out of? Just for having someone to have a response to her. She just wants somebody to respond to her.
Because, somebody like who?
I don't know, because clearly she wants him to see it. She knows that he got people on there to see it as well. I just feel like it's just really immature of her to be subbing him, because that's something like young people do. That's something that I did, a few years ago, but I don't do that anymore because it's childish. You just tell people to their face. And now that you're married and she's 33, like, she just wants to have someone respond to her. That's all. She wants a response.
Well, I think she may want a response from Sriracha and the friend crew like that, because she knows now that Steve has seen the post. She didn't know that before with the first post, but the additional post, she definitely knows that he sees it. So now she's doing it just because she can, and she really, again, doesn't seem like she cares about it, because that just keeps coming up.
Yeah.
Okay, so now Lindsay is outside with the ladies. Aren't they in the hot tub or something? Well, it's not Lindsay, the ladies. It's the ladies talking, but Lindsay always seems to start most of the conversations as of late. And she goes on to say how, she's been there for Mark because, Mark's just going through a tough time in his life. He got evicted. He lost his job, just everything. I mean, it's business. Always about what Mark has going on. She tries to make it seem like she's helping in a positive way, but she doesn't realize that energy that she's giving off doesn't come across like it's positive, at least not to me, when she's referring to what's going on in their marriage.
She says she got the Lord in her heart. She knows she's doing right.
Well, that's what she says. I'm not knocking her having the Lord in her heart, so that's a good thing in my view. But still, everything just comes across like it's beyond mean girl vibe. It just is. Just come across like dismissive to me. The things that she's saying to Mark, how he feels like she feels like he's making her feel, is the same thing she's doing to Mark. The same expressions. You make me feel less than. You make me feel like you don't need me. Whatever she says, she's doing the same thing. What's the old saying, like with little kids? I'm rubber, you're glue, bounce on me, sticks to you. She's doing the same thing. I just don't get it, why she don't see it.
Because it's Lindsay. That's why. That's just who she is as a person.
Well, now is dinner time with all the couples, and this time Katina asks everyone where they are and where they feel like they're going, and who needs this couples trip the most.
They all do. They all need it.
They do, but who would you think needs the most? If you had to do one specific that needs it the most.
That needs it the most?
That needs it, yeah.
Needs on the basis of, because they might possibly work outside of here, or they just need it because of the 8 weeks.
Girl?
There's a difference.
I know there's a difference. Well, let me tell you who needs it the most to me is Michael and Jasmina, so they can continue to connect. The other couples, Steve and Noy, don't need it. It's either you want to be with him, Noy, or you don't. You respect Steve or you don't. Okay? Elijahuan and Katina, now these are just my opinions. Elijahuan and Katina, listen, Elijahuan needs to work on himself with the counselor, and so does Katina. They need to come together. after they get themselves together, because I don't think either one of them are really truly married, even though Elijahuan feels like, you know, he might be better than and on a different level, as he said previously, but tried to talk it down. They don't need it together, no. And who's the other couple? I said them all. Mark and Lindsay? No, they don't need it. Because they're not on the same page. I don't think they ever will. But Katina says that she feels that her and O are in a better place. Their communication's better. They're opening up and the effort's there. And Elijahuan says, yeah, that, you know, he feels like they're on a higher level, and she's the first person that he's allowed to, you know, take the reins to lead. She's like, I'm not leading.
Katina?
Yeah, it's a partnership. He's like, oh, thank you, babe.
With Elijahuan? Mm-hmm. Katina's not running nothing.
Well,
her mouth.
Elijahuan said that she's the first person. Well, listen, he's trying to make up for the things he said before, but we don't really believe that. But he's trying to make it seem like he's turned the corner, or turned the lead, however they say. And then Lindsay says, now this is just all at the dinner. Lindsay says, even though she said all that stuff about Mark in the hot tub, she says, well, she's learned to value Mark, and they were having blips before, hence the name of the episode. But, you know, they've gotten past that. But Mark is not really saying anything. To me, he doesn't need to, because if he says anything, what happens? I'm leaving. My walls are up. I don't need this.
Every time.
You know, just always an emotional wreck, an emotional mess to me. Don't you think so? Or you think something else?
No, you took the words right out of my mouth.
And then, of course, here we go again. Steve and Noy. Steve tries to put Noy on Front Street about it.
He did. And you know what's very interesting? I saw Married at First Sight post something on Twitter, kind of like saying, oh, was he right by doing that? And I posted, I'm like, other couples have done it throughout the season. This is nothing new. So either he brought it up because he wanted to, or production had him bring it up at the table.
It was brought up through the whole thing. Or were they trying to say it was similar along the lines that Elijahuan did with Katina? Which one?
Doesn't really matter. It's all the same. He was trying to get answers because he was like, well, you know, she's so, maybe, this is my thinking, that he thought maybe she's so open on Instagram, maybe she'll be open to let me know, like, why is she posting this? Like, whatever she's been posting has really been weighing heavy on his heart. And, you know, it's really sad because Steve seemed like he's a really cool person with money. And she's over here, you know, making him feel like he got nothing.
Is it a cool person or a cool person with money?
The cool person with money. That's what it is.
Depending on your perspective. But to me, the difference with that is that double entendre, right? Is everyone knows about the social media posts because it's been brought up before in different scenarios versus Elijahuan did nobody know. Everyone was blindsided with that. That's the difference.
That is the difference.
Yeah. So the next morning, the couples are planning their days and their activities, right?
Whose activity did you like the most?
Wait, let me just jump back. There was just a quick scene later in the evening when the couples are in the bed or going to bed, and Steve brings it up again, like, how come you didn't answer with Noy about the social media thing? She's pretty much like, you know, she didn't want to.
Tired. Sis was in the bed. She was ready to go to sleep. She didn't want to answer that question. She didn't want to answer at home. She didn't want to answer at dinner. What makes you think she's going to answer in bed?
And she didn't really answer with Pastor Cal, but at the end of that, Steve was like, he didn't want to go to bed mad or anything like that. And they ended up cuddling. And I'm like, okay.
Well, he's still upset because that's still a question he's going to bring up again.
Again. Correct.
So you're going to sleep upset because you're not getting the answers that you want. So what he should have did, he should have took his own advice, let whatever happened on the IG happen on the IG, because clearly he's not going to get an answer, and just let it go. Just release it.
Yeah.
And then boom.
And then boom. Okay.
Well, in my perspective.
All right. So then the next morning, the couples are planning their activities, like I was saying. And did you say who had the best activity? Honestly, I think the best activity was when they did the group thing, to be honest.
You think so? I think the best activity was a sound bath.
Oh, okay. Well,
I always want to go to a sound bath. I feel like the sound bath was very fitting because it's very relaxing for Lindsay. She needs something relaxing. She can't be turn up, rah, drink, all this stuff all the time. Because when she does that, she just turns into a whole new person.
Yeah, but we'll get to that in a second. But the couples go to, okay, so Katina and Elijahuan. Katina set up a trip with, or activity with alpacas, and alpacas are kind of like cousins to a llama, except for they're in South America, and the wool is supposed to be.
Look at you, National Geographic.
Yeah, okay. I know a little something about a little bit of something. But they're from South America. Native South America, and is used for make bedding and socks and clothing and ponchos. And it's their wool is supposed to be softer than a sheep and a llama. But anyways, so they're out doing that, and she's like, you know, I want to.
Did Katina have wool on?
I don't think so. It was warm, unless her shirt had wool. But that's neither here nor there. And so they're seeing all the llamas. The alpacas, and then the baby alpaca I thought was cute. It was just born, but you know, they didn't have to show all the extras.
I know, the placenta, that was so disgusting. It looked like an iridescent ball. And then the guy was like, yeah, the dog's gonna eat it up. I'm like, next. It was gross.
But they seemed to have a good time with that. Her alpaca led her down the way. It was like running with her. But you know, sometimes a wild animal or even a, you know, like a horse will lead you. They really don't want to be bothered and stuff like that. But at the end of their activity, they got into a conversation about family and where they see themselves, stuff like that. And Katina was talking about that she saw her future with children in the next 2 to 3 years or whatever.
She wanted to have a kid, I believe, after she was done with school in 2 years. Like, what in the 1930s is he on?
Right, like she can't do both. But I think now that episodes have gone on, that Elijahuan truly is looking for the traditional role of being you either at home, cooking and cleaning, or you at work.
Yeah, and he was going on in his explanation saying, you know, not saying, I think he was like, you know, not saying that you can't do it, but, you know, I've been through school and I know how hard it is. And, you know, he did it the right way because he paid off all his debts before he parties. But he was like, but you, Katina, you know, you was doing all the traveling and stuff before paying off debt. Like, do you always got to throw a little shade at her?
Always. But yet, she's leading him for the first time. It's the first time he's being led.
Like, every time it's something with Katina and what she's not doing wrong. Even though he's like, you know, not trying to say that you're not.
Too late.
It was. It really was. Because he told her basically, one, she can't have kids and go to school or be able to raise kids after she goes to school.
Yeah, just all that. So he has a different mindset.
Clearly he does. And that's not cool because now he's shading a whole lot of people in America. He's shading you.
Moving on to
shading me.
Michael and Katina. Now she sets up an activity with the medium, okay? And Michael is kind of like not here for it. He's like, you know, skeptical and stuff like that. She's like, no, it'll be fun. And Michael said he wants to open up and show Jasmina that he's willing to do certain things and step out of his comfort zone. Well, when they got to the medium was saying things like, so, what happened, you know, when you were like 5 or 6? Like, tell me what happened. Tell me what happened when you were 13. Like, obvious things that Katina would know that she may or may not have, or production may or may not have insinuated in conversation. But if you believe in stuff like that, you're like, oh wow, like she really does know. To me, it was just a little bit too obvious.
And how come? Blown.
But how come? I know. How come the medium? At least we didn't see her asking Jasmine any questions, because just at the end of all that stuff, after Michael's mind was blown of all the things that she happened to know about Michael, she was saying that, you know, I can see you all making it, but if you don't, Michael, you're not going to recover for about 5 years. And Jasmine, I can see you recovering in a new relationship in about 1.5 years. But then you'll be like, I really did love him. And regret your decision, but still going to be happy. I'm like, now see, that was just too much for me, like being set up in positive for her.
Well, you're skeptical about mediums anyway.
I am, but there's just no way that she triggered on the time. Well, maybe. I'm skeptical. Moving on. Now we see Mark and Lindsay. What? Just like in last episode, their activity has always been like around a fire or camping, something like that. So them being at that retreat with the firewood or whatever, smoke pit, was along their alley. But guess what? They're not speaking to each other. You know what? Because in the morning, when they woke up, Lindsay was trying to be all lovey-dovey and kissing on Mark. He was like, why are you doing all that? I'm trying to, you know, still get some rest. He goes, you kissing on me like I'm some licorice or something. And then there's some other conversation I didn't really catch. Well, whatever Mark said threw Lindsay off yet again. So now she's done. She wants to, I'm done with you, blah, blah, blah.
Well, she wanted an apology, but of course he didn't give her a proper
She
apology.
always wants an apology. So when we see them later in the day, when he planned an activity, I'm like, oh, you still planning an activity? Because the activity is trying to get Lindsay
well,
back.
the activity was already planned before she had attitude.
Well, it was up to him to continue anyways. I mean, they're sitting around, and it's still the same conversation. You don't value me. You don't this, you don't that. And I'm like...
You can leave.
You can leave every week. It's really, I say it every video, and I really don't want to. It's hard to watch. It is truly hard to watch her have an emotional breakdown every week about something that she don't like about Mark. Mark can't say anything. He can't do anything. He can't look anywhere.
He sure can't look anywhere.
He got to defend her at all costs. Like, what's that look on your face? So they get past whatever. I guess they agreed to disagree.
Yeah, because the sound bath came, and she said she channeled her dad.
No, her grandfather. She felt this aura.
So you know what? That was a positive for Lindsay.
It was. So
you gotta find the positives. You know?
Moving to Steve and Noy, they are both outdoorsy and they do adventurous things. It looks like they go on since it's Vermont, there's no snow during the time they're going, so it looks like they're on a ski lift.
Like a sled. Yeah, ski lift, and they do like little...
They ski lift to go up, and then they look like they're on a sledding, like a dry bobsled or whatever. They're having a good time. I didn't see no cushion, like if they fell off to the side or something. I guess if you fell, it was on you. They probably signed a waiver. But they had a good time while doing activities, and after the activity, you know what comes up? The social media conversation, how we're going to get through this, their trust level, their expectations, and stuff like that. And Steve is now starting to see that maybe Noy's not going to change her mind on how she sees things.
Of course she's not.
So...
But you can always keep hope alive. So we're going to let Steve keep his hope alive.
Yep. All right. So now let's just jump to the evening. Are we going to go to the evening?
No, we're going to go to
the games?
Their games, because
the games in the daytime.
That game leads to the game.
Okay.
So they look like they had a fun time playing flip cup, kickball, dodgeball. See, one thing I learned about dodgeball when I was in 10th grade, never play with guys, because they throw too hard and then you knocked out like Katina.
That's right. And they do it on purpose.
And then I'm like, I'm not playing anymore. So the flip cup.
So you lost.
I wouldn't play flip cup and kickball except. Have you ever played flip cup before?
No, but I've seen it done on commercials, like with the flip cups in the little bottles.
No, that's two different things.
Oh.
That's beer pong. Flip cup, you just drink.
No, with the bottles, the water bottles, where those kids be trying to flip the...
That's something else.
Oh.
That's bottle flipping challenge.
All right.
But they look like they had a very fun time with that. But they look like they had a very fun time with that. But then, in the evening time, when it came to that couples game that they always play, that always gets somebody riled up. Who would be riled up, of course? Your girl, Lindsay.
Yeah, but it was a cute little game because Michael and Jasmina had on matching shirts, like during the day or in the evening, whatever.
She had the real boss. I mean, that's true.
That's true. Right, we know that. And they're playing games kind of like not a never have I ever, or what's it called?
Who's most likely?
Like most likely. So they had questions like who's most likely, let's say, to get arrested? Who's most likely to be a stay-at-home parent? Or who's
to get in an argument?
Yeah, stuff like that. And the argument question, the majority wrote down Lindsay.
But it's true.
And she's like, but before all that, when the game was going outside of everything else, her answers, when she was answering questions for other people, she's like, she was into the game. But when it came to her specifically, the majority answer for her, all hell broke loose.
Yeah.
Lindsay's like, you know what? Pretty much.
She don't do the pack mentality.
She don't. Listen, I went far in school. I've never been a mean girl. I got God on my side. I don't need this. I rose to the top. Pretty much, I'm cream. I rose to the top. I don't know about you.
But it's like, it's not a game for you to get your panties in a bunch.
Well, her
for you to get mad and upset about. It's just a game. If you don't feel that way about yourself, you just don't feel that way about yourself. The majority is saying that that's you. And kind of America too.
Yeah, a lot of America too.
And I felt so bad for Mark.
You should feel bad for Mark every game.
He was going to get it. He doesn't get the brunt of it all.
He gets it all the time. So
and you can see it. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but you can see it on the look in his face too. He was just back like.
He knew it. He knew it. But one of the things I think was a trigger for her, not just her name being written down majority-wise, because her name was written down for other questions too, so the other people's. But Steve was like, "Oh, so you're the one that started arguing in the airport?" That's what got her. And I was like, maybe.
Shady.
But after that, of course, that just ended the game because it was awkward big time after that. You could cut the room with a knife or tension with a knife.
If Lindsay's not having fun, everything got to come to an end.
That's right. So she accuses Mark of being part of production because he didn't, go off and talk to her and all this and that. So Mark was like, you know what? It's whatever. So he gets up and I guess he goes downstairs to the den or whatever, and then here comes Michael come talk to him, and Michael suggests, he just talked to Lindsay to find out where her feelings are. I'm thinking,
no, he can't talk to Lindsay. Michael, don't you know this already? Did you see what just happened? No, he can't talk to her.
It's just a mess. But you know what?
But then O talked to Lindsay, and I was kind of surprised by that.
I was too, but Lindsay was trying to start some mess, and O had to lead her back upstairs. But here's the thing. This is where, to me, karma came back around. Because the next morning, turns out Lindsay wasn't feeling good. Whether something she ate, whatever.
She was dehydrated.
We learned she was dehydrated. So they had to leave early. They were leaving today anyways, all the couples, to go to the urgent care. Now, last week, we saw clips of, it seemed like Lindsay was just like getting out of a car that was already driving, like she opened the door. But that's not it. We saw today that she got out, he stopped the car so she can relieve herself of.
So Lindsay can't, well, I'm sure she will say, but Lindsay can't say, oh, Mark doesn't care about me. Mark doesn't care about me. Because he didn't have to go to the hospital with you. He could have been like, I'm calling 911 for you. I'm going to see you later. But he took her there, and it was very nice. He seemed very concerned, wanted to make sure the hospital or wherever they're going to had all the stuff that she needed.
Yeah.
So Lindsay can't be saying, oh, Mark doesn't like doing this. He can't do that for me, because he does.
She can, and
she will. But I'm just saying, we got video evidence even more to prove that it's not true.
But moving to the final scenes, as a couple say their goodbyes after Mark and Lindsay leave, again, we see Steve and Noah on the way home having the same conversation. And you know what? I'm not even going to get into it because we already talked about it 5 times.
Yeah, I'm tired of talking about it. How is he not tired of talking about it? He needs to just let it go. She's not going to say anything. I feel like I'm unfrozen because it's too much. And it just gives her more ammunition to why she doesn't want to be with you.
I saw someone's comment, not necessarily on our feed, but it said her new nickname was Annoying. I said, that's a good one. So, anyways, that was the episode, you guys.
Yep. I mean, it was an okay episode. It wasn't the cabin scenes we're used to. It wasn't. But you know what? It was okay. For next week, I really hope Steve puts that conversation to bed. Don't want to hear it anymore, Steve.
I don't. They have 2 weeks starting today, so next week is before decision day. So don't they have to go their separate ways, their separate apartments and stuff?
Not next week though. It's gonna be the week after.
Whenever. Okay. The sooner the better.
How did you feel about this episode?
It's just they just had those issues in Vermont. That's it.
The blips.
The blips.
That's what it's called. Well, thank you all for watching this week's episode and recap with us. Thank you for being here. Thank you for commenting. Make sure you guys comment on the episode down below. Mom, any final things you want to say?
But thank you all again for watching. And as always, live simply, be grateful.